this video, I'm going to share with you elastic demand. Elastic demand is one of the responsiveness of demand elasticity, and the definition of elastic demand is that elastic demand states that for any smaller change in the price of the product, there will be a bigger change in the quantities that will be demanded in the market. So that's the definition of elastic demand. And an example of elastic demand can be in this form. So if the price of the product reduces by 5%, but if the quantities demanded increases by 10%, we can call that elastic demand. This is because the percentage of the price will be less than that of the quantity. And elastic demand can be shown in the graph. As you can see, I have P1 and P2. So the increase in P1 and P2 is small, but the increase between Q1 and Q2 it's big. And the price elasticity of a product is always greater than 1. So I'll use an example to show the elastic demand of a product. So if we imagine that the price of the product, the initial price of the product is 50 kwacha, and the initial quantity of that product in the market is 100 kwacha, and if we increase the price of the product to 60 kwacha, and we discover that the number of quantities that will be demanded by the customers reduces by 50 units, we can calculate the price elasticity of this product. So we'll say EP is equals to the change in Q over the change in P multiplied by the price 1 and the quantity 1. So the first thing that you're supposed to do is to calculate the change in Q. So the change in Q is Q1 minus Q2. So I'll say 100 units minus 50 units, and that's 50 units. Then I'll also calculate the change in P. So the change in P is equals to P1 minus P2. My P1 is 50 minus P2, which is 60. And 50 minus 60, that's negative 10. Since I've calculated my change in Q and my change in P, I can calculate the price elasticity of this product. So the change in Q over the change in P multiplied by P1 over Q1. So just transfer it this side. EP is equals to my change in Q, it's 50 divided by my change in P, that's negative 10, multiplied by P1, that's 50 over Q1, that's 100. So I can cancel out some zeros. After I've done that, I'll say 5 multiplied by 5, that's 25. Then I have a negative 10 down. 25 divided by negative 10, that's negative 2.5. So we can say the price elasticity of this product is 2.5, and it's greater than 1. In that case, our price elasticity of demand is greater than 1. Inelastic demand is one of the responsiveness of price elasticity of demand. And inelastic demand is defined as for any bigger change in the price of the product, there will be a smaller change in the quantities demanded in the market. So for any bigger change in the price of the product, there will be a smaller change in the quantities demanded in the market. And the price elasticity of inelastic demand is always less than 1. And if you draw your graph of inelastic demand, make sure that the change in price is always bigger than the change in quantity. So as you can see in the graph, I've drawn my graph, although this graph is not accurate. So I have my Q1 and my Q2, then I have P1 and P2. So when you draw a graph, make sure your P1, the difference between P1 and P2 is larger than that of Q1 and Q2. So I'll give an example of inelastic demand of a product. So if we imagine that the initial price of the product in the market is 100 kwacha and the initial quantity of the product is 50 kwacha, so we can call those as P1 and P2. And after changing the price of the product to 500 kwacha, which will be our P2, and we see that there is a change in quantity to 40 units, that will be our Q2. We can calculate the price elasticity of this product. So we say EP is equals to change in Q over change in P multiplied by P1 divided by Q1. So our first thing that I'm supposed to do is to find the change in Q and the change in P. So the change in Q is equals to Q1 minus Q2. My Q1 is 50 units minus my Q2, that's 40 units, and 50 minus 40, that's 10. Then I'll find my change in P. So this formula, you use it when you're calculating the price elasticity of a product using the percentage method. So I'll say my change in P is equals to P1 minus P2. My P1, that's 100, minus my P2, that's 500. 100 minus 500, that's negative 400. So I'll say EP is equals to my change in Q, that's 10, over my change in P, that's negative 400. Then I'll say my P1, that's 100 divided by my Q1, that's 500, that's 50, sorry. Then I can cancel out some zeros. After I've done that, I'll say 1 multiplied by 1, that's 1. Negative 4 multiplied by 5, that's negative 20. So I'll just transpose it this side. So I'll say EP is equals to 1 divided by negative 20, that's negative 0.05. So my final answer is 0.05. The negative just represents the law of demand, which means there's a negative relationship, and my EP here is less than 1.
It all began with an excitement of what the year had in store. This will not make sense to you all, but I had everything planned out. The initial flight was kind of rough. It actually began out with a little drought, but I had on sight a plan I began with in the first place. It was a feeling of an amazing grace, like each and every step I take will actually fall into place. I was hyped up with high expectation. My perception of the future events seemed to be at the maze of this picture I paint with these paint brushes held in my hand. Facing the ground, the paint drops off the blush, the black color splashed down, bounced back like venom, got a splash in my eye, kind of made me blind, and I lost track of my vision. My mission paused and the storm of pressure rose. Felt like life came close to my ear and made a whisper like a number penny. Only a few months of ni season young apamene apa life yamba kunilanga. I was never really a provider, and the sudden of event seems responsibility apamanje ni yanga. Making a 10 ni shock place yaonga yaenda high like fertilizer vanayuzinya chamba. Vaona pa nyumba palibewonga wakama ndiye pawaendo gulandeke. Kind of missed the rulership back then. My modern leaders are Lamwande Ungaseke. Ask what's our backup plan and they crack you with a single line. It's like just got the system upgrade because the shading is now penetrating mindset. Blackout all day till sunset, power back when it's too late to wake. Story Mutumba, switch and save ads that are only applicable to hold because Kumayads to my power cuts usually comes with an apology later online. Sad to say, the external situation affected my plan, not really looking for who to blame. This is not a crime, but the fact is that the conduct of the father will always affect the kids one way or another. I accomplished some goals and I'm still working on others. It may not be in line with the time frame I had in mind, but I don't regret each and every sacrifice I made. I will still stand my ground until I get what I have in mind. Lessons have actually been learned, and the greatest of them all is that external factors contribute to the actions that ought to be taken by each and every actor. So don't focus on the plan of the change within. Look around, nothing outside actually remains the same. Keep your eyes on both the change that you want to see and the change that you actually see. Sometimes we don't fail not because we never had the plan, but we fail because our plan does not fit the path of reality. Keep your plan real and always on sight, and keep your eyes open in the times of dust. There is no exception what will come your way. Just have faith that everything will come to pass. Just take action on the plan that you have and leave everything to God above. JC. Check. Our greeting usually comes with a fist bump. Tiriende Woyai is our heartfelt expression of our Haiva Zimai can relate. Our celebration usually comes with our very own trap-based coding Tungolono. Nina Kaskulu to sing along, Chikulu Nikutota and to sing along, so don't stand along, simply come and join the party of the super fry. We Kelai, Wambivamashai, Komanot Kuwali Bukwai, our heart longs for perfection. Winning is our ambition that defines our Makola. Look around, we are actually not fans of ties, no lies. Pause. Close your eyes for a moment. If you flow with the silence, you will realize it's a land of fun, a land of drama. Especially kunkanian drama na malomance type ya honeymoon kufamu tuli bantu bachimwela. We just love to have fun, so whatever touch mujite mwiko bakwata ba people. It's quite simple to evaluate what we live for. The interaction expression is no further info in any situation. Be assured to walk away with a smile on the deal, cause being braced is a benefit kakambisana, for we are a nation with no minyamasi. The secret is behind this grace, since we choose to honor you most and we choose to remain true to our culture at all costs. From east to west, coast to coast, our nation shall be known as a land of the great, for creativity beats louder in the hearts of the people. It's time for change, for Jericho has actually made history. We shall push to the edge until we see change, not like that of Martin Luther King, but let each man have a dream. We are not in this for fame, neither are we trying to conform so that we may be the same. We know who we are. We follow the voice for destiny cause we are not ashamed of, but framed with a passion to make a difference. Working together to make progress all day cause our focus as it stands is to be a land of greatness, that of success. We shall work more and talk less. Above all, we choose to remain us. Even when time passes, we will never allow change to control us. Sure. Unity is the backbone of the peace we have. Be assured to get a response when you say I constantly bear myself, for we are a nation proud and free. Take a look around and you will see that richness is in the resources we have in abundance, enough to attract investors. To our surprise, it seems they're here to stay. They can't really say, but it was only after a take of the roasted tute that tasted mushy, backed up with the secret weapon. It was too much to take. What more can I say? It was a take of our traditional meal, the seal of our strength, our very own manner, the Jalakila in Isima, with no further address, with no intention to embrace. Allow me to make mention that the beauty of our land is like that of the hidden Garden of Eden, an environmental view that is self-chaffing enough to leave you with the best feeling. It's insane the number of tourist attractions we have. For that, we really thank God, for He is the one that we choose to put above in our land. Come and experience the love being expressed. We are a Christian nation indeed. You wouldn't agree less.